Right, so I believe the last time we did a podcast was pretty much a year ago, and was it before or after
Yeah.
Shadowkeep?
No, well, no, because Shadowkeep came out in September, and we did this around October, so it was after Shadowkeep. I want to say that
Okay.
it was after.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
now that
we
we're
still got
basically at the end of Shadowkeep, let's touch
yeah.
on it. So,
All right,
my
sounds
first
good,
point
man.
is the season pass. Shadowkeep introduced the season pass.
It did. It did.
What did you think about it as a whole?
It it gave you a more structured way of chasing things, right? Like earlier on, it was more or less okay. Let's do some strikes. Okay, well, let's get some more bounties, right? And it was just whatever, right? There was no real goal in sight. With the season pass, it did give it a sense of structure, which I guess is okay, but it also gave it a sense of pointless grinding because, after all, once you're done with the pass itself, all that really is to grind is just like one plus power every so often, right? So it's a good start. It's a good start.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where we take it from here, though.
I was gonna say, I believe also once you reached 100, every 5 levels past that, they gave you an engram, didn't they? For Eververse.
They they give you the luminous, I want to say, engram,
I
whatever it's
don't know
called,
what
or
it is this
the
season.
no, it's one of the iterations of the luminous engram, which
But
I
I,
think
I
is
thought that was a bit too stingy. I thought I needed to see it once every 2 or 3.
I think every single time, but then again, they do want to make some money on the store, so that would kind of,
True, true.
yeah.
But yeah, I, I,
Um,
I think I agree with the idea of it being a decent structure, and I liked how there were certain rewards that you could get along the way of it, and at the end they always had like a an emote. That's the word I was looking for.
the emote, also the finisher move, the animation, if you will, all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
no, they always did put one in, didn't they?
Yeah, they did at the beginning. Um, I think what we're seeing right now, it's more or less them finding their footing because remember the Activision split didn't happen that long ago.
Yeah,
Um, so they weren't really as constricted and contrived as they might have been under a bigger studio head, right? Meaning that now they're really finding their creative output, and it's going to be trial and error, right?
yeah. I mean, we've given them their year of that trial and error, which
Yeah.
we'll continue to talk on, and hopefully, what they've got up for us next. Honestly, it's looking good, and we'll talk about it in
I
a bit.
I'm excited. I'm excited. But yeah, let's go ahead and move to the next
Let's
point here,
finish
sir.
off Shadowkeep, shall we?
Yeah,
So,
let's
the
do that
mod
first.
changes.
All right, all right.
So, remember how before Shadowkeep came along, we had to buy each individual mod and slot it onto the armor, and like if we wanted all mobility for all of our characters, we'd have to find and buy all of them and then slot them on individually.
Yeah,
That was a nightmare.
that was a kick in the proverbial sack, my friend. Let me tell you, it made you really decide on the economy of your own game because no longer um, did you have that much to go around, really. I mean, they were pretty stingy in regards to the materials you needed
Yeah, no,
to
the
get
mod
these mods.
components were
Yeah,
difficult to grab a hold of until Black Armory when you could buy them.
right, exactly. And even then, you still were subjected to like, all right, do I really waste this on this, or do
Yeah,
I wait for next
I
week?
had the
Um,
same issue.
yeah, it's like Bright Dust, which I'm sure we'll get into eventually. But
So I
I
think the mod changes they made were very welcome. Like I loved the fact that once I'd unlocked it once, I could go and get it at any time again. And
yep,
although it was slightly irritating how they removed all of our raid once,
yeah,
it gave
that's
me a
true.
reason to go re-explore them. So
This is true. This
I
is true.
enjoyed I enjoyed the changes to the mods, the new mods they added, the charged with light, the Warmind cell stuff. What do you think about them?
I think that it's too season specific, and I tell you why. Unless you're equipping old armor or old what have you to create this different things, right? Or like the Dreambane mod, for instance, right? Unless you
Yeah,
actually equip those, then they're useless and they're only useful at the moon, right? Again,
I'm 100%
finding
with you on this.
finding their footing. I think that I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to personalize the experience per planet, and I know that they're also trying to get into a more in-depth RPG feel, right? Where you customize every little thing, much like you would in Monster Hunter, back like you did in Final Fantasy VII, materia and what have you, right? All that
Yeah,
stuff. It was a very strategic choice you made. I feel that for most of us, especially me, listen, I'm on the older side of the player base, right? So I play, and not mind-numbingly, which I generally do if you ever play with me. But I try to be as laid back as possible, right? When I play the game, no stress, right? I
yeah.
feel that for some of us that don't really want to put in, I suppose, the quote unquote work, it could be a little bit of a useless facet to the mods. But again, we're not just trying to please one side of the spectrum. We got to please the whole player base. So if I'm not happy, that's okay because somebody else will be, right? So in my opinion, it's really subjected to your style of play. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I'm 100% with you on pretty much every point you made. But the one thing I do want to see is, like, I do feel like they're all going to be rotated out, like the weapons of light, the charged with light stuff, the
Yeah,
war mind cells. I want to see them do what they've done before, bring back old weapons and gear for a new season, and give those mods a breath of new life. Because coming into next season, we've got what, 4 or 5 specific Warmind cell making weapons, excluding anything that uses a special effect. Like we've got a shotgun, a hand cannon, auto rifle,
right.
and like 2 or 3 other things like an SMG.
The light machine gun, the SMG, right?
And like only 3 or 4 of those are actually available to pick up this season. So if you didn't play the previous seasons, you're kind of out of luck on the auto rifle and stuff.
Your SOL, and but that again, you're not going to please everybody. I'm trying to look at this from a marketing standpoint, right?
I know,
Or
but
from a
what
sales
I'm saying
standpoint, right?
is, even from that point, it would be good to see them recycle them to make sure that these mods don't die. Because I think these mods are actually really fun to play with.
I think they may do something like that. Bring back, just like they did with the Exodus, Umbral engrams or what have you, right? Same thing. You're bringing back all these but goodies. The Icarus SMG, right?
Yeah,
That's after the Recluse. That's got to be my favorite SMG to
it
use,
is a
quite
wonderful
frankly.
SMG, isn't it?
It really is. It's steady and it just looks good. It's aesthetically pleasing to me.
Oh, exotics.
Exotic.
Oh, yes. So,
My favorite sound in the game.
so I'll be honest. I was not happy or excited about. I don't think any of the armor exotics this season. In fact, this whole year of them for Shadowkeep has been a disappointment for armor. I can't think of one that I enjoyed, except maybe the bombing ones from the Hunter. In terms of
Very
the
forgettable.
weapons, on the other hand, whew, there were
No,
some
the
very
weapons.
good ones.
Wither Horde. That's the one I was thinking about. But
Yes,
the
with the
armor.
Horde this season was. Mwah.
But you know what? The armor. The only one, and I gotta be honest with you, the only one that I thought was decent was the Titan arms or what have you, the gauntlets, if you will, where you could shoot through the barrier, through the
Oh
barricade.
yeah,
That
no, that one was a cool one. Although
that one was useful to an
unfortunately to
extent,
me,
right?
yeah, but to me it just wasn't useful enough because the amount of HP it reduced it by really made it squishy.
It did, but you know what though? If you were in a situation where you had a bunch of like thrall coming at you, or anything shooting at you, maybe like I don't know, dregs coming at you or whatever shooting. If you were swamped, then that was a good way to kind of take a step back
Yeah,
and see, okay, where am I shooting now, right? It wasn't supposed to last forever. I don't think anything is in this
but
game really.
yeah,
It also has this balances, right? At the end of
I
the day,
don't
but
think most of the armor and stuff is memorable for this season. But in terms of the weapons,
the
I
weapons were good.
honestly most of the one from the season passes have been really enjoyable to play with. I think my
You,
favorite of the season pass ones being Ariana's Vow, hand cannon sniper.
you know what? I never gave it the shot, no pun intended, that I should have. Uh, I never did because I thought the way I look at hand cannons is the hand cannon, right? I don't look at it as a sniper. But then again, here I am using Xenophage, which I effing love, as a sniper half the time. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
It's wonderful. It's got no damage fall off. It's just an explosive shell.
it's just really awesome.
Although I do
Uh,
have a bone to pick with Xeno, and that's they
no crit.
shouldn't have made it a machine gun. It's basically a glorified scout rifle.
It's I think it's just a big old scout rifle with just I don't know.
Like,
But
no
but again,
LMG would have 13 bullets in the mag.
no.
You might as well
No,
just give me a tank.
no, honestly, but another one that doesn't get a lot of mention is that the scout that you get with
Symmetry.
yeah. See, that was a cool one. I
It
enjoyed
was a
that.
cool one, but I don't think it got enough interest because no, the perk was just a bit awkward to actually proc off.
Not even that. It just felt like a very, very slow automatic rifle. Like,
That's definitely what it was because it didn't have enough power to keep up with the other scouts, and it didn't have enough speed to keep up with
right.
anything else.
So
So its
in the
gimmick was
end,
fun, but
yeah, in the end, I mean, even if you got crits, you weren't killing things.
yeah.
It took two crits to kill things. The idea was good. Maybe the maybe the actual exotic value to it should have been a much faster and much more stable rate of fire. Maybe.
There's one more exotic I want to bring up, and that's because I think out of all of them from this season, it's my favorite, and that's Leviathan's Breath. We got a
Ah,
heavy bow.
meh.
It felt good to pull it back. And have you ever tried shooting a guardian with it? Insta kill.
No, I hear you. It was nice. The splash was also pretty nice for. I mean, first time a bow has a splash, right, component to it.
Yeah.
Um, put it this way, Le Monarch leaps and bounds over it. My humble opinion.
Shadowkeep. What was your favorite exotic?
I want to say Xenophage because it was fun to grind for it. I mean, it was thanks to
It did have a
what
little
was it?
puzzle in it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was the Razor or the Razor, like I call him, that helped me out in the dungeon. You helped out as well. And the puzzle was fun to get through, and also just the versatility of it. I think
It could
anywhere,
definitely be used for a lot of things, that's for sure.
everything. I mean, most encounters, I'm not the guy who has the most DPS, but with Xenophage, I get up there, right? So again, I get used to things, and I use the things that I like for a long time, and that works for me. And this is actually one that's versatile. So yeah, I would say Xenophage.
Awesome. Right, let's hit the next topic, which is the moon. The moon, the only destination that they added.
Yeah,
So
which
it was in D1,
right.
but how much of D1 did you play? Do you remember the moon at all?
I do. I do. I played until the first raid, until the second raid was released, which I believe it was after the Vault of Glass, right? So
Okay. Because
I think it might
my
have
I only have a
been.
vague recollection of passing these structures from the moon, and
I do.
after
I do.
going back and playing it on D2, I recognize a lot of it, and it looks like it's been touched up, and it actually just feels like it's a whole new place. It doesn't feel like the old moon.
It does not. And you know what? Let me another thing to add. It's the fact that I feel that they built upon it. I don't recall having all the subterranean passages that you
It's the
go through.
Scarlet Keep. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, that alone, and and of course the new dungeon, the new activities that came along with it.
Ah,
That
the
all
Pit
that
of
all played in.
Heresy.
Yeah,
One of my
that all played
favorite
into it.
words immortalized into a dungeon.
But you know what though? I think that the lore played into the moon quite well when we got back to it. But yeah, D1 was I really skimmed through it. The aesthetics looked much better. Everything was red now. They did improve upon certain things, but one thing that they did with the nightmare hunts is that they brought back some cool bosses that you like to fight sometimes. Like Gaul
Yeah,
is cool to fight,
like what was
Fogoth
his
is good
name?
to fight.
Fogoth, that was it. I remember back in
Yeah,
D1, my first fight against Fogoth. I hated it so much. He was terrifying. Because
he
I went through
chases you. Yeah.
D1 through a lot. I went through a lot of it by myself, and I had no idea his crit was his stomach for like 2 to 3 hours of me trying to beat him.
But that's the fun of it, though. Like with Destiny, you got to figure out how to do things, and it's not always very intuitive. Sometimes they got a flashy thing. They're like, oh, that's a crit spot. But sometimes you really got to figure out the mechanics, etc. But I think going back to the moon and what I liked about it, and I think I'll close with this, would be just simply going, replaying some of those missions, being able to fight Gaul again. That's kind of cool, right?
Oh yeah.
And just I play with a headset on most of the time, and just the eerie sounds that you hear when you go inside of different hive structures or whatever, that really brings you into the whole creepy feel of it. So yeah, I enjoyed
Definitely.
it.
The sounds are great. There's one
Yeah.
thing I want to touch on there that you've actually just made me think about, and that's I know that I want to talk about next season stuff later, but they are removing the campaign, and so thinking about it, this is the only thing we're going to have in the game to remember Gaul by.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's a weird thought, isn't it?
I didn't think about that. And he was such a huge part of it too, right? I mean, at the end of the
Yeah,
day, he was the one
he
that,
was the first person to take the light away from the Guardians.
I mean, he kicked you off the ship, and then everything started, and you got, I think, Travelers Chosen at that point. Throwback, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, to that, by the way, that's an exotic we
Yeah,
didn't
I was
talk
about to
about.
say
But
that's an exotic, isn't it? So
yeah,
forgettable.
it is an exotic. It's a sidearm. What do you want? Just like the other
I
sidearm. Like,
know.
who cares about a sidearm? Whatever. But anyway, let's go back to the one. Uh, it's haunted. That's it. That's all I got.
That's a great way to end it. Right, next one. Trials. Oh yeah, that's a
Oh,
thing.
that thing I don't play. That's right.
That got added in what the second to last season.
You played Trials of the Nine, is what you play, right?
It's Trials of Osiris. I believe it came back. I heard a lot of things about it from D1 from a lot of people, and then it came out. All this hype about it, and it's elimination with a different loot pool.
And honestly, if you see some of the armor pieces, it's like, okay, cool, it's Egyptian. All right,
It's
cool.
cool that it's sparkly, but if you've won, but that's about it. The
I
weapons
think
have some kind of cool effects and a
it's
celerity thing.
I kind of like the auto rifle, but it's
Summoner.
yeah, but it's one of those clunky ones that you get at the beginning of the game. One of the blue ones. It's the same design. It's just a different skin.
Yeah,
That's all it
yeah,
is.
I know it's the same thing.
That's all it is, and it's not that special. So
I didn't think much of Trials when it came out. I got all of the loot. I did my flawless emblem. I hated every moment of it. I didn't enjoy Trials. I don't think I'm ever gonna go back into it unless the game forces me to, like when we had to do it for the armor.
which they do. They do force you to go to PvP,
Yeah,
which
unfortunately.
which I don't
But
like, but whatever.
I don't think Trials is a particularly great game mode. If they're trying to push the competitive side to it, I feel like they need to give us set loadouts and stuff to follow, like restrictions.
Yeah,
Because
let's put it this way.
Destiny's
If I
far
may.
too big and expansive of a RPG fantasy shooter to be a competitive PvP game.
Let me put it this way. Either you're
Jotun
built for
exists.
either you're built for PvP or you're not. Period. I I tend to throw stuff at the screen if I lose. So I stay away from PvP. Like when I play FIFA, I would scream at the TV, and sometimes I might have thrown something at the
Oh
TV,
dear.
which made me bought a new TV.
Oh no.
I kid, not that bad, but I do get angry. So I stay away from those activities that may make my blood pressure go higher than
Fair
what it
enough.
needs to be. Yeah,
I've never had an issue with it, but I just think if you want to play a competitive PvP shooter game, go play COD.
COD,
It's
Battlefield.
done so much better. Yeah, just any of the other proper shooter games out there. Destiny's not competitive. We jump in
Yeah,
here to run around with insurmountable skull fort and melee people in the face.
or or use Jotun and just piss off everybody on the
Exactly.
freaking game.
That's what we play PvP Destiny for. To see how many stupid ways we can kill each other in.
Exactly.
And to slide around
So
with shotguns.
so with trials, I'll leave it with this comment. I'll try and stay away from it. Bottom line.
Yeah, same with me. Like unless they add new weapons or new armor or something, then I'm not going to touch it. Cause right. And the final topic I had for Shadowkeep was the removed content slash lore. So when Shadowkeep came out, they removed a bunch of stuff,
They did.
and they also gave us new light, which I actually didn't touch on. It wasn't that much of a loss. And the fact that they gave us the new light stuff and the first two DLCs for free, it really opened Destiny up to all of the new players.
Right. Those of
And
us that spend the money were left with less content.
Yes, no, I know a couple of people that got very angry when Destiny did this and actually left the game. Uh,
Uh,
one of which has come
I
back because they're excited for next season.
again, you know me to be fairly just laid back in terms of whatever, right?
Indeed.
Uh, I, I really don't get angry much about many things about this anymore. But one thing that I do understand is that the game is getting too big, right? And
100%. I mean,
so
it's a what, a
it's
100 GB file at the moment? I mean, that's taking up a third or a quarter of your entire storage.
yeah. I mean, I mean, as you know, I have the Pro, 1 terabyte. Life is good, but if I wanted to have all the games that I wanted to have on there installed, so I don't have to reinstall anything, I would need an external right now,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
most of it, it's Destiny.
there's one game that I have. In fact, one game that I know of that's as big or bigger than Destiny, and that's Call of Duty. Which, let's face it, the file size of that is just stupid at this point. It's past 200 now.
No kidding. Wow.
Like I uninstalled it. I was like, you know what, this isn't worth it.
This is not what I signed up for.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff they did with it. In terms of the lore, there was a couple of things I was really upset about, and that is each season they removed the content that they added, and then they stripped out all of the lore from it. So if you didn't pick it up, it was gone.
I mean, if you're somebody like Bife, you know, then you have all the lore. If you're somebody that hasn't gotten to it yet because of what have you, then you're never gonna get it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the first season of Shadowkeep, what was it? I can't remember the name, but it had the Vex offensive thing in. It
Yeah,
wasn't a great activity,
it was all right.
but
It was fun. It
if
was fun to play.
someone just, let's say they were on holiday or that they had too much work to do at that point, and if they came back and the next season started, they couldn't touch anything they paid for the first, what was it, 30 days of the season, or is it six? I forget. 90 days is the season. 90 days.
It's 90 days. 90 days. Yeah, because
Like,
they're
granted, they
for
probably could have hopped on, but they wouldn't have gotten to touch as much content as they might have wanted to. I didn't like that model in the slightest.
again. It incentivizes you to play. It incentivizes you to get more involved. The more people play in the game, the more likelihood they're buying stuff at the Eververse store. More money, right?
Yeah,
It's
definitely. But I mean, at that point, it really did feel like it was trying to push for the fans that already liked it, and it felt like it was trying to get rid of the casuals.
Are you really a casual in Destiny? Because it's hard to be one,
I mean,
unless you really.
it is, but that's what I mean. They're trying to either push you to be a fan or just kind of drop the game. Because let's face it, if you haven't put the time into Destiny, you've missed out on a lot, and there's so much content that you're never even going to get to touch.
I mean, ignorance is bliss at the end of the day, right? If you never experienced it, then you're not really,
True,
missing it in a
true.
way, right?
Let's hope
But
Trials
no,
leaves.
but yeah, but to your yeah, no trials. But to your point, it's really pushing the narrative to okay, are we going to cater to you as the dedicated members, and the other ones can just f off, right? Fair point.
All right. Anything else to say about Shadowkeep?
No, I'm ready to move on.
I was gonna say the only points I wanted to make about it are my favorite parts were the GOS raid because I thought the
Yeah,
raid
you
was
do
really
love that
nice.
raid. You love that raid,
Um,
man.
they give us the Pit of Heresy. I love the dungeons. And in the last season, they also gave us Prophecy, which was another dungeon. And
Which
again,
is
I
going
love
away.
the dungeons. Only temporarily because they need to do a couple of fixes with it. The
I tell you,
the
I
dungeon is
actually
a bit
like that one.
buggy. It
I
is.
like that one,
It's
and
great. Although I
it,
kind of
it,
wish it wasn't taken. Again.
you know what it is though. I mean, it's the 9. It's somewhere else, so
Yeah, I know.
it's gonna be
It's in
taken.
Drifter's Big Ball.
But you know what though, I felt that it was well made. Maybe a little lazy at some points when you're in the big desert. I get what they're trying to do with it, but in reality, that's just a big cop out saying, okay, we're just gonna have a big desert and little things over here and there. Boom, done. Right. The boss was interesting.
Oh yeah, no,
The final
definitely.
boss
He
was
had
very interesting.
he wasn't powerful, but his whole gimmick was get out of my circle.
Yep. No, and I remember beating it with again the Razor, Therazir, which is always my dungeon buddy, and we actually picked up a rando, and we actually had no issues like beating it. I think we did it a couple of times,
It's
as
a
a
little
matter of fact.
slow, but you can get through it just fine.
Yeah, so I think the learning curve was pretty good for that. um, One thing that we didn't touch about was all chasing all those eyes, Seventh eyes all over the place.
Ah, for Runa's effigy.
Right, which, by the way, another exotic.
Oh
Which,
yeah,
by the way,
it was great when it came out, and it's so much fun to play with. It's just
forgettable.
other than creating the orb and running around to kill minions, it
There,
doesn't do much.
there's no real value, right? Well, it kills the eyes, but I thought it was kind of neat that they would almost force you to go into the dungeon to get all those eyes out as well,
I enjoyed
because
the
it was.
exploration for it. I did.
So I think they did well. I'm not sure what they're gonna add to it. I venture to say they're gonna simply maybe revamp some of the locations and maybe add some more enemies or what have you. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Right. I think that's it for me on Shadowkeep.
Yep, I'm good.
All right. Let's move on.
Beyond
And
light.
yes. Right. So my talking points are more or less the same with it, but I mean we can jump off of those because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. No,
And
that's
first point is season pass. It's coming back. Yay or nay? Are you happy?
yay, and let's put uh, another line to that. Yay, but let's hope they figure it out. And what I mean by that, it's exciting. Yes, it's something that you work for, but it is finite, and once it ends, there's no end game, right? Um, so it becomes more or less a chore. Okay, I gotta get to this number this week. Like that's how I treated it. Every week, I'll be like, all right, let me get 5 more levels in, like
So
randomly, one day,
I'm
right?
I'm quite intrigued of it coming back because it's basically directly tied in with your artifacts, and that's basically a confirmation that they're giving the artifacts again. And
Yes.
I want to see some more interesting mods with the artifacts. I want to know if they're going to add in a different type of champion because we've already had Overload and what are the other
Barrier.
ones? Unstoppable and Barrier for
Yeah.
a year, and I'm sick of them.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something new.
I mean, I'm the kind of person that'll have barrier mods on my assault auto rifle and my SMG, just because
In fact,
I don't.
speaking of, directly ties into Beyond Light. Did you see the sword they showed off that cuts through barrier champions'
Which
barriers?
it's not so much a sword, but it's like a chainsaw.
I know.
Essentially, it's what it
It
is. It's not.
reminds me of there's this longsword and actually a pair of dual blades as well in Monster Hunter that is quite literally a sword, but where the blade is, it's been replaced by a chainsaw sort of mechanism,
I
and it
seen
just
it.
looks exactly like
The
that.
2 minutes I played Monster Hunter. I think that there's a lot that we haven't seen yet, which for good reason. I think that it would be dumb for them to come out and show us everything
Yeah.
in videos.
Although
Uh,
Destiny or Bungie even have been known to throw a lot of information at us straight away.
Yeah, but I think they may be playing coy this time. I think they actually will keep a little bit to themselves and
I hope
maybe
so
it'll
too.
reveal. Yeah, I like to be surprised. I don't like to see a vid doc, a Vidoc, and see everything right away.
Right, let's see what I
You
have
know,
next on this then.
yeah.
Ah, yes, the mod changes. So, they're getting rid of all of those old raid mods, and the only one that is sticking is being stuck to that raid, which is the Last Wish and the Taken mods. I understand
Never.
that it's a needed change, but the information definitely came too late in the season.
I'm don't use Ray mods a lot, so I'm not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to this. But I can see how it could be unnerving to some people that are used to, because again, goes back to the first part of this conversation. It really is subjected to the person you are and how you play the game, right? For me, not a big deal.
Very true. The other thing they're doing is they're changing it so I believe they're removing the enhanced mods and they're changing it so that the weapon mods no longer need to be on a certain element, which I think
Correct.
is absolutely fabulous. Although,
Correct.
again, I wish the news came earlier because I've already made all of my sets in every different element.
Again, you really can't prepare with Destiny. You have to just kind of go with the flow, and I
It's true.
think that's some of the players like that. I personally don't care. Again, going back to my whole laissez-faire
Indeed.
mentality. But players like you that really like to customize everything. I know Bugsy likes to do it as well.
He was
The Razor
very
likes.
upset about it.
Yeah, yes, he was. He was very upset about it. Um, I listen again. Whatever they choose to do, I think they had a consensus. I'm sure in their offices there are many different players, just like we have many different players in our guild. And I think they had a consensus and they asked around, "Hey, listen, we're all players of this game. What do you think?" So let's have faith in that, right?
I mean, it's definitely a welcome change.
Yeah.
Right, what did I have next? Exotics. Oh, yeah, we were just talking about them. But I mean, this time the armor exotics look amazing.
I tell you, I saw some of them. I think that I'm gonna enjoy this season just based on the aesthetics alone.
I
Now,
know.
whether practicality comes into play or not, we'll see. But I honestly haven't even been putting on a lot of exotics on my characters. I've been just going with the armor that they give you for the season, just because I think it looks good, and then doing my thing, right? But what do you think?
I am like I'm thrilled. I'm super excited. Like the moment I saw all of them, so many ideas and thoughts and theories flashing through my head. Like the hunter one that allows you to change your dodge into a mini blink. Yes, it's only on the ground, but like how far does that go? If there's like a small gap on a bridge that I'd normally be able to dodge over, well, if I could, but I'd probably fall. Would I be able to like mini blink across it? Like lots of ideas there. And with the warlock melee one that spreads the poison, does the poison tick stay on the enemy after it dies? And if it infects a new one, does that poison damage stay as the increased one and keep on ticking, or does it reset? How does it work? And then the
I
Titan one, which creates an overshield instead of a barricade. It's like, is there a cooldown on that, or is it entirely tied to your barricade resistance? I want to know. So many questions, so many thoughts.
It all has one answer: kill by the architects, right? It always seems like whenever you blink onto anything, that's what you see on your screen: kill by the architects.
Oh
Do
no,
not
you
try to
said
cross that
that.
bridge.
That's the only thing I can think of now. I can imagine me attempting to do it in Crucible, dodging to the side because I'm about to get shot, blinking into a wall, and just like Ghost is there, killed by Architect.
That's what I think will happen. Again, I'm being pessimistic based upon what I've seen. The other day, I forget what I was doing. I was doing a strike, and I, for some reason, flew across the screen. Nothing hit me. I jumped, and then I just flew across the screen. So,
The Architects
um,
didn't like you, my friend.
no, I was not in their plans. Get it? But but we'll see. No, listen, I'm excited. I'm the type of person that I like the weapons more than the armor. Honestly, I'm more not reactive. I'm more active versus reactive, right?
Yeah,
Defense, by all means, is reactiveness, which what armor would do. A weapon would, I don't know. It gives me a sense for grinding, and that's the armor. When I have to grind for an exotic for an armor, yeah, I do it. Why not? It's usually given to you anyway. Uh, but I just get more out of a exotic weapon for some reason, which we haven't seen a lot of, except for the sword and the grenade launcher thing that I was mentioning earlier.
true. But I'm sure they have plenty of things. Like I think I've heard
10
talk of
exotics, something like
something
that.
called the Hawk Moon.
Oh yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah,
It's a hand cannon.
I have
Yeah,
absolutely
which
no idea what it is other than the fact that it's a hand cannon. But
it has a talon on the actual grip at the bottom,
okay.
which it looks interesting. But again, it's a hand cannon, and so be it. It's like a sidearm that's a little bit bigger.
So
Meh.
before we move on, the last two topics have actually just reminded me. They are giving us seasonal mod slots in our exotic armor now. What do you think of that?
I think that it'll give me a reason to put on that armor versus maybe put it on something that I like better. Again, I think the whole point of people spending hours creating all these items, man hours that they have to pay, is for players to actually use it. I mean, it just makes sense.
I
Uh,
absolutely love it because it means I can finally theorize a full set and then not realize later, oh crap, I need to get rid of a piece for my exotic. I can now fit it in with my
yep,
exotic.
yep. And having a new mod slot, it's going to change a lot of the dynamic because sometimes if I wanted to be fast, I have different armor pieces that have the speed mod or whatever.
Yeah.
If I had an exotic piece, then I would have to rearrange all the other pieces just so I would have balance again on everything that I had on the character, right? But again, I like the idea. I like it's long overdue. Um, what I think would be even cooler would be another exotic, which is the exotic sparrows that will now have mods, or even the ghosts, right?
Actually, that's a good point. So they're reworking the ghosts. I'd also quite like to see them do the same with sparrows.
Right. So yeah, I might have just thought about the wrong thing. It was the ghosts that they were gonna add the mods to, but in reality, are you gonna be able to add what, like a speed mod to your, or like a power mod, or what? Or is it gonna be just
So
ghost
I
specific?
was gonna say, I think from what I remember, they're going to have a lot of the same old perks that the ghosts used to have, but they're also adding some new ones that we can fit in. And from my understanding, the ghosts are going to have energy just like our armor pieces.
Oh, okay, so it'll add to the. Oh, it'll compound to. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so essentially we upgrade our ghost so we can fit in the higher level things that we want, like Guiding Light and Speed Demon, the only two you really ever want on a
The only two
ghost.
you'll ever need. Period.
Yeah. So I really hope they actually do something like that with the sparrows as well. But I mean, they both kind of tie into exotics. 'Cause, I mean, let's face it, if you're
Yeah.
not using an exotic ghost and sparrow, what are you doing?
Yeah, why would you like to go faster and have just a regular looking ghost? It makes no sense to me. But listen, some people like what they like, right?
Indeed. Right. What do I have next on this list? Europa.
Oh, this hits close to home because HK, if there's anything that anybody that knows about me is that I am incredibly obsessed with space, solar system, and everything to do with it. So I knew about Europa plenty, Enceladus and all the other moons, Charon and Io and what have you, even before Destiny. So just seeing this come to life, it's extremely exciting for me, especially having um, that much interest in astronomy, right, as a whole. And the whole idea of going back to the Darkstone Crypt, am I correct here? Am I saying that
Yeah,
correctly?
I believe it is supposedly the birthplace of the Exos, right?
Correct, and how it all ties in with the Vex in a way. I don't know if you saw that piece of lore.
Yeah,
I
it
think it was.
did. I think
I
it's
think it was
also meant to be tying into Rasputin because he's one of
right.
the only ones that are supposedly being saved in this season. Because I think
Right.
Anna Bray is the only vendor that's coming off her planet onto the tower. Everyone else is staying where they are.
I mean, Devon's there.
Oh, he doesn't count. He's not getting attacked by a Dorito ship.
No, he's really not. Yeah, everybody was gone except for Anna Bray, which becomes the new Hunter Vanguard as a result of that. But yeah, good old
Oh,
Rasputin.
she might, mightn't she?
No, she will. That thing. I think I saw a piece of lore that she will be there.
Well,
In
that's
Kato's
interesting
spot.
because on
Yeah.
top of that, there's next season. I don't know if you've seen it, but the Triumph tab has a symbol on it for Europa, or I think it was the EDZ, which is the same one as the crest on Aldrin, which
Yep.
makes us think that he's going to come back as well. So I kind of want to see a fight between them for the Hunter Vanguard.
I think that Aldrin may end up becoming the vendor at the Cosmodrome.
I think that definitely sounds a lot more likely, but I want to see a fight.
I mean, yeah, you want to see Emo Crow versus Anna Bray. No, listen, I still don't see how they're going to tie that in. But going back to the Europa thing, the Exo Stranger will be there now, which turns out to be Anna Bray's sister. Um, and then, of course, Rasputin getting an exo body, which I think will be cool to see an autonomous Rasputin. Um, but again, there is Eris going to the moon now too, so she's leaving the moon. I mean, going to
Followed
the
by the
Europa
Drifter, oddly.
by the Drifter, right?
I think they make
So
a fun couple.
they do it every time I see the whatever that event on IO
A
or
contact public event.
Contact. Yeah, I like the conversations,
Their
but I
back and
think
forth is just great. She
I,
calls
I
him
think
Rat.
have you guys ever seen the conspiracy theories about the pyramids in Antarctica or whatever? How there may be like three pyramids down there, or what have you? Right? It
Absolutely
really
not to.
remind right. Look into it. It's ridiculous, but if you want to just it's fringy at best, but
Will
take a
do.
look at it if you want to. But this kind of reminded me of it. Maybe that's a little bit of a wink to that, having a pyramid in the middle of like frozen tundra, if you will. But more importantly, I think that uh, it will reduce. This will be one destination we get, and we're going to get what, three taken away, right? Something like that.
I think it's
Uh,
4. We're
well, we got
losing
Io,
Io,
Titan,
Titan, Mars, Mercury. Technically 5 if you want to include the Leviathan. I mean, there's a
Leviathan,
lot on
right?
the Leviathan.
But this is like more or less, start over, and this is something new for you
Yeah,
guys, and we're going to bring something new. So I think it's a good start.
it's like D3 if it was a DLC.
Exactly, and the same token, honestly, it's a new destination. We've never been here before. Brand new things, brand new lore, and it kind of gets you excited because even when we went back to the moon, you're like, all right, well, it's still the moon. We've seen this before. Yeah, we're going back to the Cosmodrome, but for some of us, we don't remember it that well because we barely played D1. So, I'm excited about it as well. I just think that they're gonna get away with being a little bit lazy in the design because after all, a tundra doesn't need a lot of trees, a lot of rocks, anything else.
Yeah,
It's just kind of
true.
plain, right?
Although I
But
am looking
listen,
forward to how they mesh the light with the reflection of the ice.
true, and I think that
That's a
the
very
new
hard thing to grasp when it comes to video game light rendering.
it can be easy, but then again, listen, Bungie. People don't realize how big of a boss Zol is. That's a huge amount of computing being done right there to move this big worm, right? For instance, right?
So I'd say it's
Bungie,
funny you mention that because earlier today I actually saw a size comparison of a Guardian inside Riven's mouth and then Riven on the Traveler, and the size is it's mind-boggling.
yeah, it's Bungie does well with big designs.
Right.
So I'm intrigued to see. I'm actually more intrigued to see what's going on inside the Darkstone Creep than anything else. Quite frankly, the pyramids, we've seen them. We've been inside the pyramids. That's cool. Whatever. I want to know where the X's were made. I want
I
to know if this is
feel
going to become.
like it's going to have something to do with the raid.
I think so too. Maybe like something like Siva-ish, something
Ooh,
like that.
Outbreak coming back again.
Yeah, yeah.
Before Shadowkeep, we had Gambit Prime added, and then let's face it, Shadowkeep has done absolutely nothing for Gambit in the slightest, really. They added
Has
a
been
couple
Gambit.
pinnacles, and that
Yeah.
was it.
I
So
mean,
now
yeah.
they're removing Gambit and Gambit Prime and squishing it into one.
Never play Prime that much at all. I just didn't see the point of it. It was more fun to not be so because Gambit Prime just becomes a
It was
non-stop
very geared.
invading. It's
Yeah, its biggest issue was it was it was good as a competitive mode, but if someone started a steamroll, that was it. The snowball
yeah.
effect on Gambit Prime was you were like going down a 90-degree incline. It was ridiculous. You had no chance of coming back.
I mean, regular Gambit. I can't tell you how many times I've come back, and when you get that medal by the skin of your
Yeah,
teeth, right? That
yeah.
at the
It's
very
happened a
last,
lot
and
of times.
that's exciting for me because you can be effing off like for the first half, and then you can still come back and win because the third encounter is it's a sudden death, which makes it all that exciting. You have to think, all right, do I use my super to invade or do I use it for DPS, right? So you start
Yeah,
strategizing. What
yeah.
do I do?
Or even
I'm
better,
okay
save
with
it for
it.
the next round. Give up from this round and kill the ads straight away in the next round.
Given, honestly, I don't mind Gambit Prime going away. I am gonna miss the Reckoning.
I actually quite enjoyed Reckoning. Not gonna lie.
I am. I'm gonna miss the Reckoning because that's one of the few quick pace PVE co-op PVE things that you can do besides the strike. That's actually
I was gonna say it's like
cons-
Blinding Well, except it's enjoyable.
yeah, Blind Well. Blind Well they could do so much better with it.
They could,
They
I
really
didn't
could.
enjoy it in the slightest.
Eh, it's grindy. That's all I can
It's
tell
too
you.
grindy. So what they're doing with the next one is it's going to be one single round of Gambit, and I believe they're getting rid of the Taken Captain as the medium blocker, and they're putting in a Phalanx. So he
I
won't
hate.
be as
Ooh.
tanky or as disruptive, but he can still be irritating to kill if you don't do the method correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
What do you
really
think of
mind the
that?
blockers the way I don't mind the blockers the way they are right now. Honestly, I think it adds a different dynamic to each round that you get a different one.
I really do
Um,
think that the taking captains for medium were far too disrupted. They had an overshield, they could teleport, they'd throw this massive black orb at you that would blind half your screen.
well, that's the annoying part, the blight they throw at you, right? That's the annoying part.
Like, I
I think
really
this
think they deserved to be the large blocker rather than the knight. Because other than the knight having a bit more health, it really didn't feel as disruptive as a taking captain.
I mean, what do you think if they actually had like an ogre as the as the big blocker, right? I
That would
mean,
be way too disruptive.
that entirely too hard, right? No, but I think that the way they set up Gambit, the regular Gambit was fine. If they're gonna make it one round, at least give us a choice if you want to make it one round versus 3 rounds, because maybe you want to play 3 rounds of Gambit, right?
Yeah, but I think their aim with it was to make the overall experience a bit shorter, but they still wanted to keep it competitive. Like one of the other things that they did say they were removing was, or they were making the time between invasions longer so that they couldn't constantly invade if you had your primeval up.
Jeez, that
And they've tried to, yeah,
that noise always gets me.
they're trying to stop the snowball effect happening in Gambit. So I want to see Gambit thrive because I think it is a good game mode, but
I enjoy it. Yeah.
there's not enough people that play it and actually play it properly.
People people will, they'll rage out of Gambit. They'll send you some nasty messages when you had their number the whole game. Um, Whatever. Listen, it is what it is. But no, in terms of making it more attainable for everybody, I think again, right idea, maybe wrong delivery. If you want to do one round, have the option to do one round. If I want to just do good old regular Gambit, let me do it as well. That's just my
Yeah,
take on it.
I'm kind of with you there because I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually gonna miss having 3 rounds of Gambit as well. I
Yeah,
quite enjoyed it. I
I like
like
the fact
I
that you
like
have
the
a chance
idea
to
that
come back.
yeah,
You can
it's
come
just
back. Yeah,
it's just like
yeah,
you might have lost the first round, but you can still do it. You've got a chance.
exactly. If you just have one round, then I don't know. Number one, I'm gonna get more nervous and more angsty about
Well, give
playing,
us a
and then
rematch button to tell the other team I want to have a rematch. I can do this. I can beat you.
right, okay, yeah. But then again, the trivialities, intricacies of matchmaking for that, it could be done though, right? I mean, I don't see why not.
I mean, I don't think it would be that difficult to do. I would think Rocket League have a similar thing. They also added something recently called a party up button. So the randoms that you're playing with, if you enjoyed the match with them, you can push the button and it will send them like an invite to party up. I think that would be a cool idea in Destiny for matchmaking activities like that as well.
Or maybe at the end of the Gambit game, have an option for each player rematch, and then you click yes or no, and whoever joins joins. Whoever doesn't, then doesn't.
And I was gonna say on the same topic of matchmaking, they definitely need to fix something about it because I can't tell you the amount of times I've done a Crucible game. It says we're breaking up those teams to find a better match, and then it's put me in with the exact same group of people.
Oh
Can't tell
man.
you how many times that's happened. Too many.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at my time in the platform. I only have about 18 hours logged into Crucible
Good.
versus my 2,200 hours in the whole game, just to give you an idea.
Keep it that way.
Uh, yeah, no, it's too sweaty for me. I'm sorry. Um, Matchmaking, listen, at the end of the day, as long as I get to play with you guys, that's all that matters, right?
Ah,
Ah,
yes. All the planets, all the lore, all the stuff that's going.
gone,
So
gone.
I mean, we've touched on it a couple times already, and like thinking back at it, it really doesn't feel like this game is going to be D2 anymore. The base campaign is going to be basically gone. All the
Right?
armor, all the mods, all the weapons, everything that we've had in the first year pretty much of Destiny vanished.
Gone, gone.
Like at this
You know what?
point, Destiny 2's life is basically from Forsaken onwards. And even most of the stuff from that's getting sunsetted.
I think what I'm gonna miss the most is Mercury. Nah, I'm kidding. I hated that place. You know,
When they gave us that update for the sparrows, it's like, yeah,
oh
we can use our
yeah,
sparrows here. 3 months later, we're getting rid of Mercury, guys.
I thought Mercury had so much potential. I originally thought, and I said this on Discord, that when we destroyed the Almighty could have very easily crashed into
Oh,
Mercury,
how much I would have loved that.
made it a new patrol zone, right? Much like the Dreadnought was back in D1, and then you would have had a brand new freaking area in Mercury.
I'm a
It'll just
little
be
bit
like
sad we didn't get to explore the Almighty some more.
we still might because the EDZ is still there, and the Almighty
It's true.
crashed.
That is true. Because I mean, from what all I remember, it is was it the Almighty that we jumped on to
Yeah,
disable? It was,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, and that's the one that crashed right next to the city.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that long wait event. Wasn't worth
Here's a
it.
prediction. Here's a prediction. I think that at some point we're gonna get a Cabal raid, and it's gonna be
Ooh,
based on the ruins of the Almighty.
I'm not so sure because at this point, what powerful Cabal leader is left?
Well, the Almighty was a big thing. Big things when they crash don't necessarily kill everything inside because they're so big, right?
I
Everything.
mean, did you see that explosion?
I mean, it was a pretty big explosion, yeah.
And
All right, put it
to
this
be
way.
fair, the only big, powerful sort of Cabal guy left is Callus. But is he really left if his whole ship and everything related to him is gone?
No, he's not going to be gone. He's going to be part of this. I mean, he has
Is
to be.
he?
There's no way they're going to get rid of Callus because at the end of the day,
I know, but
we
other
got a
than
bunch of
on the
questions and no
Leviathan and in
answers.
the Menagerie and stuff, where else are we gonna see him? Like, wait, have we even heard anything about what the vendor for him is gonna do? The one that's sitting on Nessus? That barge
Uh,
going?
no, that's gone. Everything's gone. I think.
So where's Callus?
Listen, I think it's gonna be something they're gonna figure out. It's the same thing when Aldrin was, revived by what is it, pulled pork, right? The little ghost.
Supposedly, yeah.
And we didn't hear anything about him. We have lore taps. He's
We do.
out in the field, kind of staying away from the Guardians because they want to kill him over and over again.
People throwing stuff at him.
Yeah, he's been an outcast. But I think Callus will have to come back because the darkness is inherently related to what he was talking about, right?
And he gave
Um,
us a room to put gold statues in. What I want him as my friend.
no, he's a cool guy. I mean, talks a lot about himself, but he's pretty cool. I like him.
I mean, his ego's as big as his stomach.
Grow fat with power, my friend.
Isn't it grow fat with strength?
Something like that. Strength, power, potato, potato. It's been a long day.
Just like him, he is a potato.
He is a potato, although we've never really seen Callus, have we?
From what I understand, Europa is going to be very focused on Vex and Fallen.
Yeah, because you got the new fallen boss, whatever her name is, has
There was
Aramis.
the
Aramis,
one
that's the
that
name.
escaped from the prison of elders is going to be there too. What was his name? Varix.
Varix, which again, if you haven't played Destiny 1, then you really don't know who he is, right?
I mean, you actually get a fair idea when you play through all the content in D2. You hear his name
You do.
quite a lot.
You do. He has that voice that it always strikes me as weird whenever I hear him talking or whatever.
But yeah,
But no,
I'm thinking about it, and other than the moon, the Hive really don't have much of a existence left.
I don't think they
Which is
do
very
at all.
weird considering that we're really going to be focusing on the darkness soon, and they're the species, other than maybe the Taken, that seem to be the most intertwined with it.
Are we going to see the Veil finally? Maybe not this rendition coming in November, but when are we going to see the Veil?
No idea what that is.
The new race, the one that lives within the pyramid.
Oh, is that what's in there?
So they're different. I read some of the lore, different types of enemies. One of them is described as a golem, earthy with grass and just smells wet, if you will. And there are some other types of enemies that control the darkness, if you will.
It would be quite
Uh,
interesting to see them have a species very focused on the elements that we originally used.
well, that's what I'm saying. I think that I thought that the main thing about this new expansion was to see the new race, and when I didn't see anything on the Vidocs, then I was a little bit like, okay, well maybe they'll show them later,
I mean,
but maybe
this is the
they're
first time hearing of it, so
well. You look into it; it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. But I really hope they come soon because again I love all the different factions, but I think we need something new, honestly.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, the last time we had anything new was the Scorn, and honestly, they didn't do enough with the Scorn.
Too short-lived. You're right.
Like, they
The,
were unique and irritating as hell, but
oh yeah,
they were they were a strong race.
you know,
Like, if there's one race that I don't want to ever fight in Gambit, it's the Scorn.
oh, I hate Scorn Gambit. It's absolute worst with the little
Oh, the
things that
Screebs are the
they.
worst. The
Oh,
Screebs really are the worst.
oh no, that or. I mean, the easiest one to fight on Gambit is the Vex, I think, but that's
Oh
just
yeah, that's because Vex are squishy.
they are. They're easy
They
to
might be made
dismount.
of metal, but they seem to be the easiest thing to kill with bullets.
They really are. So going back to the removed content and lore. Are you gonna miss Titan at all? I'm not.
Honestly, after looking back at all of the places they're getting rid of, the only one I'm gonna miss is Mars.
Me too. Mars I liked. I thought Mars was
Because
well
I
made.
I thought Mars was great, and as well as that, it's the only one that really focused on anything that was to do with the Golden Age. Or
Agreed. And plus, I mean, Escalation Protocol is fun. Let's face it. I mean, it's grindy, but I still like it. I still like playing that.
I'm on the line with that one. I'm not sure how much I enjoyed it.
The strikes were fun in
Oh yeah,
Mars.
100%.
Mars
I
in,
loved every
in
strike on
Mars.
Mars.
Again, fighting Zol. I mean, this
Oh, I'm
big
gonna
old
miss
worm god.
those.
Yeah, yeah, I'm telling you. And I think they could have done a lot more with the actual inner workings of Rasputin. Like we could have created more areas, maybe a raid within that whole area, right? Something like that.
Oof, imagine that. You know what? They could still mix him in with the next season. Because I mean, the whole next season's based around what the exos and stuff,
Yeah.
and so
And he's becoming one, right? So
he's becoming one. And we have had a lot of weapons and stuff from his season. We still have his mods. We're gonna be able to put them on exotics. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna get War Mind Cells Plus.
I like the way you think, man. I like the way you think.
Hey, but that's it for me. I've got nothing else to say on this.
No, me either. I think that we've done well a year after. I certainly enjoy our little talk.
Think
Hopefully
we
we can
need
do
to
this
try
more
to.
often.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say. We need to try to do this a little bit more frequently.
But you know what? It's good to get together and talk about things that at the end of the day may not mean a lot in terms of real life, but it certainly does help create a much more fun, alternate life, if you will, for those of us that work hard every day of the week.